Well, good morning, everybody. Good to be back with you. I know what some of you just thought. I didn't know you'd been gone. Well, I was. Took some vacation time and got to visit two very popular destination sites. I know they're on your must-see list. Must visit, got to do this. I spent some time in McCormick, South Carolina, and Royston, Georgia. You say, what in the world do you do in McCormick, South Carolina, and Royston, Georgia? Well, I'll tell you what I did. I sat in the woods by myself for about 7 hours a day. You say, what? I was hunting, and I know what some of you that don't hunt were thinking, what do you do for 7 hours at a time sitting out in the woods by yourself? I'll tell you what I like. I like to be entertained by creation. I'm a big fan of creation, man. I love it. I like slipping into my little spot long before the sun comes up and sitting in the darkness under the stars because, Donnie, just every once in a while, I'll see a shooting star go right across the horizon. I'm like, man, that's cool right there. I like being there this period of time that I call God waking the world up. I like it when you just start seeing the outline of the trees and you realize God's slowly turning the lights on. I like to listen to those pre-dawn sounds of owls hooting, and I like to hear the sound of the coyotes ushering in the morning. I like to watch the sun start peeking through the tree limbs, shooting rays of light through the fog. Man, the last 2 weeks I've watched bobcats stalk their prey. Watched raccoons dangling on limbs in the tree in front of me. I like to be entertained by creation. Love to see the sun come up. Love to watch it go down. It's cool to be in the woods for 2 weeks watching that take place every day. But in addition to being entertained by creation, I love to have conversations with God when I'm out there. What a perfect opportunity. And so I was able this year to download my favorite translation of the Bible to my phone so that I can read the Bible. Don't have to be online, I can just read the Bible. And so I spent a lot of time reading it. And without fail, if you read it enough, think about it clearly enough, sooner or later, God makes it personal to you. He gives you guidance. He gave me guidance. He encouraged me. And I talked to Him. Our little life groups have been studying prayer, and one of the things we learned in our last lesson that we encourage you to do is when we're praying, let's slow down. Let's take some time to really talk with God and be honest with Him and expressive and not be in such a hurry. And so, boy, these past few weeks, I've done that. And I felt Him so near to me, so real to me. You guys, Ronnie, what did you say to Him? I tell you what it kept coming back to. No matter where I started, it always came back to a very simple prayer. It always came back to this. Thank you. Thank you, God. As I was reading, I came across a verse in the Psalms that David had written, and he said, the boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. And boy, I put my finger on it and I said, that's it, God. When you carved out the niche of time that was going to be my life, you really put me in some pleasant places. I couldn't ask for more. I'm so thankful. I spent a lot of time thanking God for my family, but in particular, my wife, Lynn. Last week, Lynn and I celebrated our 42nd wedding anniversary. 42. Those applause are for you, Lynn. I know what some of you just thought, how old must have Ronnie been? Because he must have been an infant, right? Yeah. Yeah, but she robbed the cradle, I guarantee you that. No, I know what you're really thinking. I know what you're really thinking. She could have done a whole lot better. That's right, Jack, so could your wife. I told Scott Lee this week, I said, Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to me. Lynn's the second best thing ever happened to me. The two together changed me radically for the better. I spent time thanking God for you. And Scott and I were talking this week, and I said, Scott, you know what? When God drew out these boundary lines in pleasant places for us, Golden Corner was a part of that. What a blessing it is to get to serve you. Whoa, it was a blessed day for me when God sent me to this church. You know, you guys, in lieu of 31 years of full-time ministry and experience, and 21 of those years here, you're generous with me in regard to vacation time. I've always looked for the opportunity to thank you for that. And to thank you for being patient with me, because I take most of that time in the fall, and I appreciate you being patient with me. I'm thankful that I serve a church that I know loves me and my family, and I know you appreciate me. Somebody somewhere designated October as Pastor Appreciation Month. And I appreciate the things that you guys have done, the letters, cards, gift cards, cookies, in just every way you've expressed this month. But you know what I'm really grateful for? I serve a church that doesn't wait till October to do that. You're always encouraging me and my family in some way, and I really appreciate it. That may mean my time is up. Listen to me. I'll tell you something that I thank God for, and especially this week, was I thank God that Golden Corner Church loves children. Now, Wednesday night, and I think Tim's already mentioned some of this, and I won't take long on this, but we did a trunk or treat for the kids of our church and our community. And we did one last year, and the response was really overwhelming, or so we thought. And so, we plan to do another one this year. And Lynn and I, we were running a little late. We got here an hour early because we were setting up a theater in the back of my truck so that we could show Scooby-Doo movies to the kids. And so we come in, and man, the parking lot's filling up with people. And there were people here long before us working hard to get their trunks ready for the kids that were coming. And I was so impressed by the creativity of the people of Golden Corner Church. And so we all got ready, and about 6 o'clock they opened the floodgates, and I mean, kids started coming, and kids kept coming, and 7:30 kids were still coming. And they tell me that over 600 kids came through that line on Wednesday night. Man, I want to say a special thanks to everybody that made that night of fun possible, to the kids and to the adults. But that's not the only way Golden Corner shows love to kids. We sent 2 mission teams out last year, both of them targeting kids. We got a preschool here at Golden Corner Church that is absolutely second to none. We're about to gear up now for Kidsmas for the kids in December, but of all the things we do for the kids, maybe the most important thing we do is what we do right here every Sunday morning. Man, we do kids ministry. You know what that is? That's a well-planned, well-executed church service designed specifically for kids. And we do 104 of those every year. You know who does it? You do. Those of you that volunteer, you do that. 104 specialized church services for kids every year. I just want to take time to tip my hat to all of you who work in some area of the children's part, all of you that are investing in the kids of Golden Corner Church in this community and other communities abroad. Thank you. Just sidebar, for us to do those 104 children's services, we need a faithful team of 95 people. 95 people. If we get 95 people, it means every volunteer serves one service for a month. They get 2 months off. I don't think that's a luxury. I think it's a necessity because it keeps people from burning out. Well, guys, I'll say this, and I'm going to move on. We're 20 people short. We're 20 people short. I want you to really pray about this sincerely, about what you could do. You say, I can't teach. Don't necessarily need you to teach. Can you play with kids and have fun with kids? Can you do that? Can you love kids in such a way that they feel loved? You're in. You need to sign up. We need people like that. But I thank God a lot for my family, especially. I thank God for you. But can I tell you what really bore on my mind this time? I thought a lot about heaven. Whether I was driving to McCormick in the wee hours of the morning, or sitting in my stand in the dark, heaven kept coming to my mind. And every time it would forever, I'd find myself whispering this prayer. Thank you, God, for a place like heaven. You know what I'm talking about when I say heaven? I'm talking about the final eternal dwelling place of all God's people. Man, that's what I found myself thanking God for more than anything. You say, why is that? Well, I'll tell you what, let's read about it. And as we read about it, you tell me what you think. You think you're grateful for a place like heaven? We're going to start by reading in Revelation chapter 21, verse number 3. Before we do, let me kind of set the stage and tell you what's happening. The book of Revelation is just a collection of things that Jesus wanted to reveal to us. And so he revealed them to an angel and sent the angel to reveal them to a man named John. And the angel told John, all this stuff that Jesus has revealed to me, that I'm revealing to you, you got to write down so that God's people throughout one generation, or another, they know these things. And we jump over to Revelation chapter 21 and 22. Jesus is revealing through the angel to John the end of our story. I guess you could say this is a spoiler alert. I'm going to let you know how things end for us. The end from the beginning. Before we read, three things have happened. Three significant things have happened. One, the devil's been incarcerated. He's out of business, defunct. He's gone. Never be on the prowl again, never do any mislead anybody, deceive anybody, rob anybody, lie to anybody. He's done. He's incarcerated. The great judgment has taken place. All of our accounts with God have been settled. The earth and the heavens as we know it are no more. But God has created a new earth and a new heaven. Now, I got a couple of things you got to know about the new earth. One, there's no sea, there's no ocean on it. At this point in time, about 75% of the earth is underwater. Oh, not the new one. It's going to be almost all land. There'll be water, but almost all land. And the Bible tells us that on the new earth there'll be no curse. Do you understand that when Adam and Eve sinned, God cursed the earth? Before then it was Eden, and then after that it was weeds and briars and thistles. I can't imagine what a world with no curse is going to look like. Because I'll be frank with you, I enjoy this one, laying heavy under the curse. I've seen some beautiful things in my days. I've watched the sun come up on the Tetons. I've seen the alpenglow. Man, I've hiked into Lee Branch Falls when it was completely encased in a block of ice. Lynn and I got a place on the Blue Ridge Park where we go to every April that is it is a carpet of wildflowers as far as the eyes can see. Man, I've seen sunsets that'll blow your mind. As beautiful as this world is under a curse, what in the world is that one going to be like? Now, on this new earth, there's going to be a city. Now, Greg, I know you're not a city boy. I'm not a city boy. But on this new earth, there's going to be a city called the New Jerusalem, or the city of God. Sometimes it's called this angel called it the bride of Christ because that's where we who have been redeemed by Jesus Christ, we're going to live in the city. But hang on, don't sweat it out. I know I got all these country brothers going, city? I thought you said this was heaven. That won't be heaven. Listen to me. Hang with me. And the angel's getting ready to show John the city. I want you to read this with me. John said, I heard a loud shout from the throne saying, look, God's home is now among his people. He will live with them. They will be his people. You see this next sentence? God himself will be with them. God himself will be with them. You know, as we follow Christ, every once in a while, Jesus kind of gives us a little blessing of letting us feel his presence. You know what I'm talking about. You didn't see him. You didn't see some illusion. But you knew. There was just this distinct awareness that God is with us. And with it comes an indescribable joy and an indescribable peace that always comes with the revelation of God's presence. You do understand that when we move into this city, in the final state, when we're in heaven, we feel his presence constantly, not in any controlled manner. Always that peace, always that joy. God is with him. Look what happens. Look what he said. What God does. He said, he will wipe every tear from their eyes. You say, what were we crying about? Well, the final judgment just took place. Maybe we saw some of our loved ones that didn't make it, and maybe we also saw some of the good that we could have done, but we failed to do and realized we're never going to get a chance to back up on. I don't know, something breaks our heart, but let me tell you what God will do. He wipes those tears from our eyes. You think you getting this? You know that's coming from this book? God himself wipes the tears from our eyes, and there'll be no more death. No cemeteries in heaven. No mortuaries. No practicing morticians. No practicing grave diggers. Nobody ever dies again. Or sorrow, or crying. Nothing ever happens there to break your heart. Nobody there suffers from depression. You never get bad news. No more death or sorrow or crying or pain. No emotional pain. No pain of regret, remorse. No pain that came from rejection or loneliness. No physical pain. No pain from arthritis or a broken bone or a bad tooth or a headache. Nothing. You see this next line? All these things are gone forever. Forever. And I know what some of you are thinking. That's too good to be true. Man, that's a wishful thing. That's a fairy tale people tell each other, comfort each other in a time of death and bereavement. Ronnie, listen to this. Verse 5. And the one sitting on the throne, speaking of Jesus, said, look, I'm making everything new. And then he said to me, write this down, for what I tell you is trustworthy and true. I'm not telling you a fairy tale this morning. I'm sharing with you the end of your story. Verse number 10, the angel's he's ready, man, kind of the unveiling of this city. Verse number 10, John said, so he took me in the Spirit to a great high mountain, and he showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. It shone with the glory of God. What does that mean? Well, in Revelation chapter 1, we're told that the countenance of God and His Son Jesus are like the sun shining in its strength. So, he's talking about the glory of God, the countenance of God is shining in this city. It's shone with the glory of God and sparkled like precious stone, like jasper, as clear as crystal. The Bible's probably talking about diamond there. The city wall was broad and high, with 12 gates guarded by 12 angels, and the names of the 12 tribes of Israel were written on the gates. There were 3 gates on each side, east, north, south, and west. The wall of the city had 12 foundation stones, and on them were written the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. The angel who talked to me held in his hand a gold measuring stick to measure the city, its gates, and its wall. When he measured, he found it was a square as wide as it was long. In fact, its length and width and height were each, now you ready? You ready? You see that? 1,400 miles. Now Adam's panicking, going, it's not only a city, man. This is a big city. You dang right, it's a big city, probably about 2 million cubic miles in size. Then he measured the walls and found them to be 216 feet thick, according to the human standard used by the angel. The wall was made of jasper, and the city was what? Concrete, pine. What is it? The city was pure gold, as clear as glass. The wall of the city was built on foundation stones, inlaid with 12 precious stones. Try to get this image. You got 12 stones, different stones as foundation, each one inlaid with a different precious stone. The first was jasper, the second sapphire. Try to get an image of all these colors. The third, agate. The fourth, emerald. The fifth, onyx. The sixth, carnelian. The seventh, chrysolite. The eighth, beryl. The ninth, topaz. The 10th, chrysoprase. The 11th, jacinth. The 12th, amethyst. As I studied on this week, I realized a lot of these stones were orange, vivid orange, and many of them were intense purple. Clemson fans, how about it, huh? Come on now. I know what some of the Gamecocks fans are. I'm going to go with it. I'm not kidding you, man. But there were a lot of garnet stones as well, Jake. Can you picture the radiance of the countenance of God reflecting off of all this gold and all these different precious stones? What a kaleidoscope. Verse 21, the 12 gates were made of pearls. Now, you seeing this? Each gate from a single pearl. Huh, honey? Now, how do you shuck oysters there? I mean, what do you use, a forklift? I don't know what you do. You don't order fried oysters. You order filet of oyster. They got to cut a chunk of that one off, Each gate from a single pearl. The main street was pure gold. It's clear as glass. See how much time I got. Oh, gosh. We're taking a tour, man. If you belong to God, it's where you're headed. John went on to say there was no temple there. There was no church. I'll tell you why. Because everybody's in a perpetual state of worship, awestruck by God and His Son. There's no sun, no moon, because the place is illuminated by the countenance of God and His Son. The gates are never locked. Do you know why it says that? Everybody's free to come and go. There's no danger lurking out there. You know what that means? Here's what, country boys, listen to me. Country girls, here's what I like. I can sleep in the city at night. Well, there is no night. I'm sorry. I can sleep in the city. I can do whatever. There comes a time when I can leave that city and I can explore that new earth. That's like Eden. Everywhere. You talk about some hiking, Kay. You talk about putting on the hiking boots and doing some exploring. Got eternity to scope this place out. Look at chapter 22, verse 1. I'm about through. This is my favorite part. You ready? Then the angel showed me a what? A river. Man, there's a river in heaven. Think about this. John didn't say, and the angel showed me a golf course. Sorry, guys. I ain't going to be there. And the angel showed me a shopping mall. Oh, no, 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 no. The angel showed me a marina. No, no. But I tell you what, God knew what to put there. He put a river there, maybe just for me. I don't know. The only problem is look what he said about it. He said the river, showed me a river with the water of life clear as crystal. That can make fishing tough. I don't know, man. I'm going to have a little divine assistance there. Flowing from the throne of God and the Lamb. Man, there's a river there. John said, well, I looked on either side of the river, and guess what was there? Trees. There's a forest. I can adapt to this city living. You give me a river, you give me a forest. The Bible said the forest is made up of the trees of life, and there's something unique about them. They bear their fruit every month. So it means every 30 days. You can read it. Every 30 days. They bud, out come, they come the blooms, and then the leaves, then the fruit. 30 days, you harvest the fruit. The leaves turn beautiful autumn colors. They drop, they bud. It's a 30-day cycle. Look what John said next, chapter 22, verse 3. No longer will there be a curse upon anything, for the throne of God and of the Lamb will be there, and his servants will worship him. Now, here's my real favorite part. And they'll see his face. And his name will be written on their foreheads, and there will be no night there. No need for lamps or the sun, for the Lord God will shine on them, and they will reign. How long does this deal last? You reading it? How long does it last? Forever and ever, man. I know what you're thinking. Too good to be true. This is too good to be true. Look at verse 6. Then the angel said to me, everything you have heard and seen is trustworthy and true. The Lord God who inspires his prophets has sent his angel to tell his servants what will happen soon. So, man, I've been thankful for heaven. Are you kind of feeling that way? You kind of starting to feel the same way? You know why? Frank, I'm thankful for heaven. One, this life can be tough. In the Old Testament, we read the story of a man named Job. In 1 year, he lost his entire fortune. He was a wealthy man. He buried all his children. And he lost his health. He had some so-called friends that came along and said, we know what the problem is. All this bad stuff is happening to you because you're a bad man. This was their reasoning. Bad things happen to bad people and good things happen to good people. So if bad things happen to you, you got to be bad. In other words, they believed in karma. You guys, Ronnie, are they right? No, they're not right. Let me tell you what Jesus said. John chapter 16, verse 33, as a matter of fact. Jesus said, in this life, you'll experience many trials and sorrows. Jesus didn't say life's all bad, but he did say this. Woven into the good will be some bad. That's just the truth, man. Life can be tough. Say, Ronnie, why is that? Well, there's a devil on the loose, and he loves to destroy and devour. And because there's a devil, there's evil, there's sin, and people like to commit sins against one another, creating pain and heartache. Along with sin came the sentence of death. And death, I tell you something that kind of accompanies death, and that's aging. I'll be 61 years old next week. I'm not aging gracefully. Somebody referred to this period of my life as the golden years. Liar. Just a dirty, low-down liar. You know, whoever came up with that phrase, they were a young person. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. My doctor sent me to see a doctor who scheduled me for some tests, and so I go down this week, and I'm sitting in the waiting room with all these people. And this is what they're talking about. They're talking about their triglyceride numbers. They're talking about their medications, side effects, their last procedure, their next procedure. And I thought, well, these are my people now. You know, these are my people. I'll bet you I'm sicker than you are. I got numbers, man. I got numbers to back it up. Aging in and of itself creates so many heartaches for us. I used to get up out of a chair without groaning or crying or praying. Life can be tough. I've watched some good people go through some bad things. I've sat with more than one set of parents whose child had committed suicide and tried to offer them some words of encouragement. That's tough. I've sat next to good friends when the doctor informed them there's nothing we can do for your spouse. It's just a matter of time. And you try to offer some words of encouragement. I've watched some bad things happen to some good people. I'm grateful that this is not all there is. That this is nothing, just a little sliver of time compared to the time we get to spend in heaven. Life can be tough. I'm glad there's a place where life's not tough. There'll be no devil. There'll be no evil. There'll be no sin. There'll be no sickness, no disease, no death in that place forever and ever. I tell you another reason I'm thankful. Life is short. Now, when Lynn and I were first married, if you'd have told me that, I wouldn't have believed you. You know why? Life moved kind of like pouring cold molasses out of a jar. You got all your life in front of you. You got all this time to do what you're going to do. I don't know when it happened. I don't know how it happened. But at some point, somebody pressed down hard on the accelerator. One minute, we're at the hospital with our little baby girl. The next minute, I'm at the hospital with her baby son. This year, I'll watch him graduate high school and ship off to the Marines. What happened? I should have known. The Bible said that we people are kind of like grass. It springs up, green, flourishing, and then out comes the sun, and boom, we wither away. Kind of like wildflowers, blooming all at glory. And the next thing you know, we fade and we're gone. And the Bible even says that life is kind of like vapor coming off the tea kettle. It's there, boom, gone. I should have known. Life is short. I tell you when I've been reminded is every time I've had to bury somebody. I've buried infants. I've buried teenagers. I've buried men and women that appeared to be the picture of health just days before. I've buried people who were sick for a long time, died slow. I've buried people that I wanted to get to know better, and I've buried some that I knew well. In every case, this was my heart's desire. God, I want more time. God, I want more time. Would you give us more time? And somehow or another, in His wisdom, His infinite wisdom, He chose to take them. I realized, man, life is short. You know what I'm thankful for? That there's a life after this one. And it's not short. It's eternal. It's forever and ever and ever and ever. And why am I telling you this? I'm sorry. Oh, my. I'll just make it this quick. For some of you, life's tough right now. It's tough. And during those times, it's hard to find anything to be thankful for. Here's what I want you to do. Fast forward to the end of your story. Think about heaven. And you thank God that there's a place that's not going to be tough. Some of you, you've buried people that you didn't think you could ever live without. And you mourn for them to this day. I want you to do a couple of things. Would you kind of envision them in their new home? They're not old. And they're not sick. And their mind is clear. And they're happy. They don't feel alone. They never experience sadness or depression. They never have a pain. You know, we often comfort each other by saying they're in a better place. I'll just say it like this. You're doggone right they're in a better place. You're just doggone right it's a better place. Would you kind of picture them there? And maybe do this. Why don't you fast forward to the end of your story? You know something that they've experienced? They've been reunited with people they missed. And at the end of your story, you be reunited with him. And I've looked at my watch twice. Let me tell you something. When we get to heaven, we won't have any watches. Who cares? Man, we got forever. You got ever to be reacquainted, catch up, and death will never separate you from your loved ones again. Would you kind of play it forward? Don't forget that. I think when you think about these things, you're going to be like me. And you're going to find yourself thanking God for a literal place, an eternal place, heaven. Let's bow together. Let's pray together. Father, I pray this. I know this. I know that I've told this church the truth. I want them to embrace the truth. Matter of fact, I want them to research this truth. They'll find that this is more fascinating than we could begin to realize. I pray that they'll find comfort, peace in the reality of such a place and such a passage. I pray this. Anybody's here, Lord, that has never made preparations to be in this place for eternity, you orchestrate that. You begin to move and lead them in that direction. Thank you for thinking of us and going all out for us when you prepared this place. In the name of Jesus, we tell you thanks. Amen. Before I let you go, one thing. You might be thinking, I'm not sure that I have made arrangements to go there. I need to talk to somebody. And that somebody might just be me. I'm available. And if we couldn't talk today, we'll make an appointment. We'll talk soon. Okay? And I'm going to leave it up to you to let me know. Now you can go. Thank you.